Hey, this is Jay Ashborne, and again, we're doing something really unconventional and weird, but I know it's the end of season. However, we're making a faction tier list today. I've got some friends with me. I would like them all to give a shout out, so if you guys don't mind, would you go ahead?
Hi everyone, name's Vesk. You probably have seen me already around either on Discord or here on the channel with Jay. I'm very happy to be here and to do this tier list with some very good players, and I hope that this will be a valuable item for the community.
Hi, I'm Stelmach. I was called here and I'm here. That's all. I'm playing a lot. I played playing from the start, and probably most of you know me.
Yeah, hey, I'm Ko. I suppose I started playing a few weeks before Emperor's Children dropped, so I'm still fairly new to the scene, but been playing a lot of ranked. People see me around. I'm usually quite quiet, so I'm not on boards all that often. But yeah, Jay gave me a shout, so here I am.
I figured it was better for us to have more community than less community. We have me, myself, and Vesk. Myself being two people because we are very different personalities, and then we have two top 50 players, Stelma and Ku. So very reasonable, very respectable ranks throughout the community. Hopefully, you guys take everything here with a grain of salt because everything is subject to change. However, we are all here to put together a tier list for you all. And first up on the list, Ultramarines. We're kind of going to go round robin. Each of us are going to give our opinions, and then we'll kind of make a group decision on how we feel this should be ranked. I feel Ultramarines overall as a whole probably I would say B plus, but just because Varro is so strong, I'm gonna say A. I think Varro is probably one of the predominant, aside from Spacewolves and Genestealer cults, probably one of the predominant warlords. When they get that 2-3-5 or 2-3-4-5 curve, and it's perfect, it's really hard to come back as any faction. And I find that they tempo you out of the game a lot. So my vote is A for Ultramarines.
Yes, I agree with you, Jay. I think that Varro is a very strong element of this meta. The deck absolutely works amazingly, and I think the Ultramarines in general have very valuable options. Even Kalgar, I think, can be a good alternative if someone doesn't want to run Varro. Overall, a pretty solid choice for anyone that wants to rank up.
Well, I suppose not really, not to parrot everybody, but yeah, I'd have to agree. Varro is, yeah, definitely the standout warlord for the Ultramarines. I mean, Titus is up there as well, but I would give it to Varro. The sheer amount of value you can get out of Codex abilities from having, a 1-cost talent followed by 1 or 2 cost, options after casting your talent. Yeah, especially when you're paired with the 5-drop legendary. Yeah, you can just get an insane amount of value that's really difficult to come back from when you're playing against it. If you don't get momentum against him early on, it is a really tough matchup. So I'd have to agree on A tier.
Well, I think that in current meta, where we have Space Wolves with ferocity, you don't really wanna leave targets on the field to trigger those ferocities, because ferocities and hunt marks. Me playing Yao most of the season, I find that I found out that playing against warlords that don't leave units on the field is harder than normal ones. So, as for the Ultramarines, I would say that Titus now, not I mean in current meta, Titus are bigger pain in the ass than a Varro. Yes, Varro could trigger those codexes multiple times with Sergeant Tail, and it could be scary. But the problem is that Varro could not even live that long to do that, while Titus healing every turn, doing fair amount of damage to face, it's much better. So I would say Titus, and I would say also, yeah, it's A
A-tier?
tier for me.
Definitely. Titus, definitely. I didn't even consider that, but you're right. Titus is a very strong matchup right now. It's good against a lot of different things. Just the incidental blast damage you can get from it, clearing everything, and it's always been a heavy pressuring deck. So, indeed, we will put Ultramarines in A tier. Next on our bracket, we have Orcs. Some of the standout Orc lists that come to mind are Ghazghkull Control for me. The problem here is that they release a lot of units on the board and use units to control their board state. I would like to put them at like A- because I feel the I forget which warlord it is that has Uch Choppa as the ability, the talent, but I would like to put them at A-, but I really feel that they're just B right now. Orcs can tempo you out of the game, but with Spacewolves being so predominant in the meta, it's definitely strong to hold a footing to it. So my vote is for B for Orcs.
So I am kind of new to the game, relatively new to the game, and I think that in this period of time that I've been playing, I missed on seeing orcs at their best, as they were in the past. What I see now is a faction that is really struggling to keep up with stronger alternatives. In my opinion, either you really are an orc fan, so you go for a choice of heart, or you don't really have a reason to make your life ranking up harder by picking orcs. So as far as I see, I would say even C tier, in my opinion.
I'm have definitely struggled from, compared to how they were before when they were in their prime with Squig Buggy having flank and Green Tide actually being worth it to run outside of skirmish. Gordrang still pretty solid. Mozrog Scragbad, he's still pretty solid. Gas Control has some really good matchups, but again, Spacewolves make it so difficult to rely on control through loads of units. You are just gonna accrue loads and loads of hunt marks on your troops, and just from trying to control the board, you're just giving your opponent advantage. Yeah, I'm quite biased towards orcs. I do like playing them. I will say they are probably, out of the more generally solid factions, it's probably one of the ones I struggled with the most. Might be biased. I'd have to maybe go for B. I can definitely see an argument for C, but they still have a lot of solid matchups versus other factions. But yeah, with Spacewolves being so dominant currently, can't, even bias aside, I can't justify putting them higher than B.
All right, my turn, right?
Yeah.
So I might be unconventional here, but I think that orcs are strong right now because of Mozrog. Because same reason as Titus, he don't leave units on a field where Space Wolves, the menace of this matter, could trigger their ferocities and hunt marks. He just hits face for 4 every turn. He has 40 health. He has tools for heal, board control, while not leaving any single unit in a result on a board. He can control through how's it called? Scorch Assault. Oh yeah, our AOE. Scorch Assault, squeaks, a lot of squeaks. If he pulls Makari on first or second turn, it's all. That's all. I can, and he also can control those builds against wolves that use, Logans. Against Logan, you just have 2 no mocking balls in your deck, and probably a Will of Gork even. So yeah, I think orcs are A tier because of Mozrok. Other archetypes like what do we have? Gas control, no. Well, basically playable only 2 archetypes. It's Mozrok and gas control. I think I saw people played some Gruk, but he doesn't have much survivability and relies heavily on shooter. How is it called? Shooter. The unit that deals 2 damage when other one dies.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it in your hand, it's done for you. So yeah, Mozrok, he controlled the board, he survives, and have great burst potential in the end with Warbikers, proper killy, and so on.
I agree. That was kind of my initial assessment, is I thought they were definitely like bottom of the A tier, but still possible A tier just because of that one warlord. That one warlord is so strong. It's basically Titus 2.0. I'm going to list them at the top of B tier now, but we will go back at the end of this video and make an edit to reassess and see if we need anything else. If we feel they need to be at the bottom of A or the top of B, we'll assess that at the end of the video and kind of come back and look over this. But for now, we're going to put them at the top of B tier. So Eldar. I think specifically, oh God, I hope I pronounce this right, Lycus. I think Lycus is extremely strong, and Anvir is probably next best in line. These units like to trade off. They're stealth, they're hard to deal with. The only problem is that wolves succeed so much against them. The fact that wolves can hit stealth is such a problem right now. If it wasn't for wolves, I would say Eldar was an A tier deck. But because of wolves only, I'm going to say they're either A minus or B plus. They're just in that range where it's right on the cusp of being super good. They're so aggressive that it's perfect. Lycus specifically might carry this to A minus, but other than that, Anvir probably sitting at the top of B tier, in my opinion.
So I actually like Eldar in this meta. Of course, wolves are a big problem, but against everything else that's not wolf, you have a fair shot of playing a very competitive game. I agree with you. I think that Lycus is probably the best that they have at the moment, but I think that their playstyle is solid. So I think B tier for me, just because the presence of Wolf cannot be just simply ignored in a meta where probably 20% of your matches are against Wolves. So, and considering the point system of ranked, that is a big challenge. But I think that for all the matches where you're not facing Wolf, you have a fair shot. So for me, it's mid to lower B tier.
I'd have to agree with a lot of the initial points. I do think they are they're a very solid choice. Off the top of my head, I'd have to give them, B plus, A minus. While it is an issue, going into the Spacewolves matchup that some of their units can hit stealth, it's not all of them, and they, even acknowledging that, they have a lot of units that they can just chuck in for damage. They're quite likely going to die, so you don't have to worry too much about some arcs. They have a lot of just general damaging stratagems. You have Eldritch Storm to deal some decent damage. You have Banshee Mask to, stun your opponent. You have Wailing Doom as a finisher. I would say in terms of just doing general burst damage, they are a very good aggro choice. I will say, having played a lot of them, I've actually struggled more against Necrons than Spacewolves playing Eldar, because they can quite, if you're against like Imatech and they've gotten up an Immortal Pride or two, a lot of your burn stratagems are going to have they're going to depreciate it in value a lot, and you can just run out of steam against them. They are, I would say, they're a very solid option. B plus, A minus. I don't think the Wolves matchup is as rough as people think, but then again, maybe that's just me talking from playing the, not even going to attempt to pronounce the name, the Warp Spider Warlords, because that Warlord is a very solid choice, being able to give your unit stealth again, yet have another just really cost-effective way of damaging the enemy warlord or opposing unit. It's say, plus, A minus.
Well, I played Eldar this season with 2 warlords. First one, it's obviously Lycis, I don't know, Spider Girl. So the thing with her, it's something a bit similar for Modrok and Titus, in a way that she can play not leaving easy targets for Spacewolves, but Spacewolves could control your stealth units. Your way to play this is just out stealth Spacewolves. What I mean that playing as much stealth units as you can, and the best way it's not leaving just one stealth unit on the field. Always try to place 2 at least, like Ranger plus Warp Spider, Exarch, and so on. So you have to plan ahead your plays. But also, I found that playing my beloved Tempo Queen, I mean Midriel, was pretty good. Because, well, Midriel was my favorite warlord from the start. I played a lot with her when this game was released, or even before, when it was in beta patch, I don't know. But anyway, I call her Tempo Queen because he can every turn leave a threat for opponent on the field, and even if it's threat eliminated, she stockpiles all those eggs or gems probably. Eldar stones, eggs, jacks. I don't know how to call them. Stones, spirit stones. Yes, she collect those spirit stones for very strong plays, like putting leaving a very wide board, also buffed and with Vanguard, and that's a lot. and also she don't have any problems with double strikes with storms, right, and so on. So my way to go with her was a lot of tempo units, a lot of stuns, and whiteboard buffs through warlocks, and another one for 6E, Autarch. Yeah, warlocks and Autarch. So probably I don't know what is better. Against wolves, playing with with Medrial surprisingly was pretty good because their instruments, how wolves deal with your board, just depletes over time, and you constantly filling the board with new threats against them. So for me, Eldar, it's a solid B. Why B? Because you have to plan a lot of ahead. You have to plan ahead a lot. It's not an easy to play them right now against Spacewolves. Against any other faction, it's okay, but against Spacewolves, it's a little bit complicated.
Just to clarify, Stelma, so not to jump ahead anything or too much, but I'm trying to understand here. I agree that Medriel is probably pretty good, and the reason I see it as good is because she provides a constant threat, sort of like Junith provides a constant threat, right? She constantly feeds the board, and then Wolves eventually just runs out of removal. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We'll throw them in B for now. We'll just put them behind orcs for now, and we'll come back to it and reorder things if we need to. Necrons. Okay, hot take. I think Necrons are S tier. They're good against wolves. They're good against most of the other meta. Either Imatech control, Orcon combo, even Ramatech aggro. So many versatile archetypes, just good. Period. Maybe with like the exception of Nemcessor, but like the rest of the archetypes and the warlords are good. I'm going to vote S for Necrons, and that's my final answer.
I think the most important thing that Necrons have going for them is the versatility of their cards. You can play them in various ways depending on the meta. And currently, I think Imotech really does a great job managing the threat and dragging games to the end game and winning the end game pretty comfortably. So that's definitely a very, very respectable threat if you face it as an opponent, and it's a very good warlord for you to play with. I would say yes, bottom of S tier or top of A at worst, but I think they have just enough going on for them. The damage the X mark is always there to be annoying. All the reanimate strategies are solid because, as we were mentioning a moment ago about Eldar and about Junit specifically, the continuous refueling of units on the board will give you an advantage because you will push your opponent to control the board for most of the time instead of developing their own game and eventually run out of resources. The end game at the moment is Necron's absolute ground of conquest. I don't think there's any other deck that can hold an end game as good as they can. So for me, I agree with you, Jay. I think bottom of S tier is the right spot.
Again, not to parrot, but definite S tier. I don't think any of the warlords are a particularly bad pick. Even Zandrak, you get Relentless March to just generate a Necron warrior. It's giving you advantage. It's giving you a Vanguard as well, and you have so many options. You have Scarab Explosion with Orokin the Diviner, you have Imhotep aggro, you have Imhotep control, and unless you playing against them, playing with them, unless you put them down early, I agree, they will drag you into the end game and most likely beat you. They have, you have Undying Legions to make sure that your remnants are sticking around, and if you're playing with some big units, when I've played Imhotep, I tend to run, a lot of the bigger units like Smart Destroyer, or Lich Guard. I even run Oberon as well, which is not usually that relevant, but just personal preference there. You don't really need it. But even if you manage to dominate them for most of the game, they can just drop a Tomb World on you. They've been solid ever since I started. You can even do, Warlord buffing with Mortal Pride. The other one.
Conquering Tyrant.
Conquering Tyrant, that's it. Heal 5, gain +2 melee. It's, could even turn, a controlling Warlord into, a dominant threat on the board. Easy S tier for me. Okay. They've always been solid ever since I started playing. I couldn't put them anywhere else, to be honest.
Well, I agree with everything that has been said. Necrons right now, it's like a Swiss knife. They have instruments for all. They have a lot of archetypes. We have Imhotep Control, we have Scarabs, we have Tempo Nemesis. Not super strong, but strong also. Tempo Nemesis, I mean. With Imhotep, you can play totally as a duelist. Same for the Ramatech, where just a lot of armor, a lot of healing, not leaving threats on the board. If you design your deck specifically against wolves, it could be easy with Necrons. But as for the tier, I think it's A, because it's still a Swiss knife, but what the downside of Swiss knives? Because normal knife or normal drill or normal, it's better than a universal tool like a Swiss knife. So for me, it's an A tier, because also because S tier is reserved for another faction. You know what faction it is, right? So strong A tier.
All right.
Not
Well,
to
Put it
interrupt.
first, even
Go
A
ahead.
tier.
Got to mention, I'd say their one downside is Destroyer. It is I know it was to, balance some of the cards which were probably quite overpowered when they came out, but just aren't at this stage. I'd say Destroyer is their one downside as a mechanic, but it doesn't factor into it a lot, to be fair.
I listed them at the top of A tier above Ultramarines. If we feel they need to be at the bottom of S at the end of this, we'll do this. But I think we all agree there's one concise winner for S tier in this faction tier list. So,
Hard to argue otherwise.
I know, right? It's really hard. Next on our bracket, we have Chaos. Oh boy. I know there's a lot of fan favorite Chaos boys out there in the chat. Hands out, just comment if you like Chaos. You heretics, you. As a loyalist, Chaos D tier. No, I'm joking. They're not the most well positioned. Abaddon's pretty okay. Sylar's pretty okay. I feel the other warlords really fail to shine in any form or fashion. I'm gonna have to say B tier on Chaos personally. Probably behind Eldar, if I had to guess. It would be Orcs, Eldar, then Chaos, if I had to guess. So my vote is for B tier at the very bottom.
I am very, very biased when it comes to chaos because I really like the mechanics of dark pacting. So I would really like to imagine it being a strong contender, but in truth, the problem is that they don't have the tools to play in a duelist fashion, and their reliance on units to stick on the board really faces issues in this meta, where strong removals are everywhere. They are not fast enough to keep the units that they put on the board for the dark packs to start piling up. So as much as I like the playstyle and everything, I think it's a very poor pick in the current meta. I would say top of C tier for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm in the same boat. Black Legion was my starting faction. It's probably my favourite faction, just from a play style standpoint. You do have options in terms of making your warlord a duelist. If you really wanted to run Legacy of Vengeance, you can. I mean, Dracnian's always there, but it's a legendary, so you can't rely on drawing into. I will say in the Wolves matchup, do have fair few units that you can just whack down. They're not going to live all that long. I think of stuff like Warp Talon, Chris, some of your flank units. So they have that going for them at the moment. But again, I agree. Their main play style that you go for with Chaos deck is building up a unit with Dark Pact, which is very difficult to do when Spacewolves exist. Even if you build something up to stupid degree, they can just pop one Hunter Mark on you and then cast Embers of Prospero, and all of your advantage is gone. I will say, and it's definitely not a meta choice, but I've had a decent bit of luck running Black Crusade purely on the basis that when I've been playing against Wolves, rather, they've spent so much time just blowing up all of my units that they've not really accrued any board or advantage of their own. So if I've lasted into the end game, I can just drop a Black Crusade. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't say that's a particularly meta pick. As much as I of play style, I mean, I have nearly 1900 wins with Abaddon, so I definitely I like Chaos. But yeah, I'd have to say probably the bottom of B tier. They have some solid options, but yeah, I mean, compared to the versatility of Necrons or the sheer aggro that you can play with Eldar, it's not the pick at the moment, unfortunately, which is very sad for me to say.
As for the Black Legion, that's how we call it now. It's not Chaos. We have two Chaos factions. So it's a Black Legion and Emperor's Children. So as for the Black Legion, I agree with Echo that it's bottom of B tier because their entire playstyle relies on highly buffed units on a board, which is a problem against Space Wolves. Though Syla have a big burst damage potential, I ran some builds with even stealthed units. Like it's cool to stealth your Warp Talon again, also armored and buffed, and next turn you just burst damage into opponent's face. But it's hard to do that, so I guess it's bottom of B tier. Sylar, it's a top warlord for Chaos now, and it's a
Definitely.
B tier.
Yeah. I left some footnotes for everybody in chat as we move on to our next faction. Tyranids. How do we feel about Tyranids? I personally think Swarmlord is like probably, I would rank them right up there with Ultramarines. Swarmlord is boss to the bee's knees. As many good sayings I can say about it. However, every other warlord in Tyranids seems to fail to shine. I would put them maybe at the same reason Orcs is at the top of B. I would put them at the top of B literally just because of Swarmlord. Everything else is pretty much meh, in my opinion.
I really don't like Tyranids, but I have to give in to the fact that Swarmer is a threat. The simple combo they go for is still really effective. I think they are a little bit towards the lower end of B tier. You have simply better options to pick for if you want to go just for raw power and availability in the ladder laddering endeavor. So probably the lower end of B tier for me.
Yeah, got to agree. They Swarmlord is still definitely their best warlord. I mean, I really do enjoy playing them. I mean, Abysmal Hydra got me into playing them. They're really fun, but outside of the standard Swarmlord combo and having a decent amount of access to self, that's they've got that going for them. But yeah, I probably wouldn't place them, above B minus sort of tier. They're definitely not a particularly strong contender. But a lot of their good units are on the cheaper end in terms of their rarity, so I might be a good budget option.
Well, I had a
In-
great success with Tyranids. It's my turn or what?
Yeah, go
Sorry
ahead.
if I interrupted. I had a great success with Tyranids this season, particularly Swarmlord. I had like 10 wins, 1 loss, and 1 loss was because I fucked up my lethal. So for me, it's a solid A tier. Why? Because again, we have to mention Spacewolves in every faction we described, right? So against Spacewolves, it goes with very heavily buffed board and also stealth. When you put 3 Neurogons under armor and stealth, it's a big deal, right? And you keep buffing them every turn and adding unit to it and use signups. Because of this, it's not even a combo. Because of this, it's a very, very solid choice for me. So yeah, I don't know why you guys, but for me, it's an A tier, solid A tier, even better than Ultramarines.
I can see your perspective, definitely. Throwing units under stealth is definitely pretty good, especially with armor. It makes it, armor is like the wolf killer, man. Any unit with armor survives wolves. At the moment, I think we will put them at the ahead of orcs at B, so they'll be at the top of B tier, B plus, if you will. If we feel we need to adjust at the end, then we will. We'll go back over this and revise where everything needs to be. Next on our list, everybody's favorite faction, Tau. This is my hot take. Anva is B tier. Everything else is D. So I'm going to put them in D tier just because Anva is the only playable warlord, in my opinion.
The way I'm seeing this endeavor that we are going through to make this tier list is to identify the faction availability as a whole in the meta. I think if you play Tau, you are hindering your chances significantly to have an easy life in the meta. Anva is a peak, okay, but I don't see any reason for you to choose Tau if you want to ladder up. So, in my opinion, C tier, Anva stays, keeps the whole faction on his shoulder, but really there is no point picking Tau until better days come. C tier for me.
Yeah, I've got to agree. A C, maybe D. I'm not too well versed in Tau. I've got to be honest. I know everybody has their bias against them, but yeah, the little bit that I have played with them, I tried Almvar, easily be the best. I tried a bit of War Shaper because I just happened to get it from a draft. To not much success at all. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle playing Tau at the moment. It, even Wolves aside, they are struggling at the moment. Yeah, there's definitely better options out there, unfortunately. As much as I like some of the brute cards, yeah, there's C- for me. Although I will, caveat, I'm not too well versed in Tau.
Well, I confused, guys. Because I had a great success with Aunwa too, the biggest advantage of Aunwa that he could put a very heavily beefed flying units, like Cold Star battlesuit, like, well, actually one heavily beefed Cold Star battlesuits, but also he have a lot of instruments to survive, to even against Spacewolves, like this. One energy give health to your warlord and adjacent units. It's a big deal, because it's well, like if we look at Erika, who does it only to one unit, Aunwa could do this to 3 units. It's plus 3 HP on a board for 1 energy. It's a big deal. Also, those drones, a simple combo, like you first turn you put a stealth drone, second turn you put a support turret, and keep buffing it every turn. Yeah, I don't know. For me, Aunwa, it's and of course it's every time you play against Tau, against Aunwa specifically, you have to count. Do you die next turn or not? Will you die next turn or not? Starting from 6 energy, right?
Yeah.
So when there is a 6 energy, you start counting your lethal range. So for me, Aunwa, it's a solid A tier. I would say, well, it's not that good as Tyranids, but I would put them between Orcs and Ultramarines. Ultramarines will be lower. Yeah, I think Aunwa, it's very, very good right now.
All right.
And units, beef flying units, it's a very big pain in the ass for the Spacewolves. They don't have much instruments to deal with them.
Would you say they're better or worse than Black Legion? You say they're better? Definitely. You said they're at the top. You're saying they're better than Ultramarines. They're definitely better. All right. I think at the moment,
better than Black Legion.
at the moment, we're going to put them behind Eldar and B, just because Anva probably carries this singular faction so far. What just happened? Did I switch that? I did switch that. Hold on. Sorry. I'm going to put them behind Eldar and B. But if we feel we need to adjust it at the end, we can. Next, the best faction, Sisters. I'm just going to say A tier. Junith's strong, Morven's strong, Erica's strong. Erica leads the pack in nearly all ways, so Morven's really good too right now. She's, in my opinion, just slightly behind, and I mean like 48-52. Like the split is very close. Both warlords are very strong right now. Morven being the single solo beat you down threat, Erica being the stun you up, you never get to do anything kind of threat. So I've had great success with sisters, over a 75% win rate this season. So yeah, I'm gonna say A tier.
I agree with you. I think A tier is correct for sister. Probably they don't have, like other faction, something really specific you can go for. Like for example, Eldar you go aggro, Tyranid you go for the Swarmlord combo. They are more versatile all around, as proven by the fact that you can run 2, 3, even 3 if you want, different warlords and different playstyles. I think as a faction as a whole, they have a lot going on for them. So definitely a solid A tier in my opinion. It's probably still a touch lower compared to other factions that have an easier life holding the game. You always struggle a little bit. You make your game a little bit harder for yourself, but at the end it plays off. It pays off. It's a very good faction. A tier for me.
Yeah, I'd say a strong A tier. It's they've got a lot of late game options. They've got a lot of shield options, which is pretty great against wolves. If you can't control them in the early game, they will ramp up and you'll have an incredibly difficult time, especially, cards like Sacred Rose getting out to Rose Sisters, both of them having shield, both of them generating more faith. Yeah, they incredibly strong swarming potential. Erica Stun Erica Stun's probably the best option they have. Morven Val is very good as well, being aggro. I think even Evelyn is pretty good, especially when I think it's starting at 6 faith, her buffs stick around whenever you cast her talent. But that can get pretty strong pretty quickly as well when you hit that faith bench. Yeah, I'd definitely say A tier, or around there, A plus.
Well, I played this season with Morven Wall mostly, and I think it's a B tier. Why not Erika? Because come on, guys, how many nerfs she could handle? Huh? After right now, it's nine phase to trigger those stuns, and against Niall, it's nearly impossible to achieve that number because of the lightning. So I played because of that Morven Wall, because of her survivability, healing, easier to get those 4 phase for heal and also damage buff. It was a penitence build with a lot of Arc of Flagellants, you know how it played. So yeah, for me it's a B tier because it's very heavily nerfed during past several seasons.
I honestly think Erica needs another nerf, to be personally. I think Sacred Rose needs to go to 5. Can we all just give a really big shout out to Cherubs real quick and how awesome Cherubs have been this season?
Yeah,
Hell yes.
the extra range always comes in clutch. It's yeah.
I'm gonna throw
Cherub's
Sisters.
brilliant.
I'm gonna throw Sisters at the back of A tier for now. Close to B. We'll work from there. Next on our list is Astra Militarum Imperial Guard. This one's hard for me. I'm gonna have to say they're somewhere in the middle of B. I would really like to place them higher, but man, when Wolves gets hunt marks on you, you just do nothing. Against every other faction, they're fine in aggro, like Lunch Lady aggro is pretty good, Dankler is pretty good, Hector control's pretty good. We'll not talk about the other warlord, he's the awful. But I just, because of Wolves specifically, I just have to throw them in B. So my answer is B for Astra Militarum Imperial Guard.
I think you're right. Although personally, I face them a lot. The RNG keeps giving me ultimately down, so I grew some kind of resentment towards them. But I think that overall, their tools are pretty good. In a vacuum, I think it's a very, very good faction to pick up and to work with. They have both solid option in Dankler and in Ursula, but they still miss the oomph to get one step further and really make a difference. For me, it's above the lower B tier. I would say that is high B tier.
Yeah, I'd say mid to high B tier. They have a lot of options in swarming with vanguards. I mean, Ursula, you can get 3 vanguards turn 1, essentially have 9 health to work with in terms of protecting your warlords. So you can't really go wrong there. They do struggle with the Spacewolves matchup. They are such an over-centralizing faction. It's tough to not factor them into every. Yeah, it's tough to not factor in Spacewolves when you're thinking about playing literally any other faction. Yeah, they have good options. Ursula, with her, being able to shove out a load of low cost units, a load of vanguards. Denkler, I had a decent bit of success with Denkler. A vehicle build that was quite fun. I've never even tried. What is it, Leontus?
The one we don't talk about.
The legend one. He's yeah. We don't know about him. It's him. I would say mid to high B tier. Again, they have an incredibly solid matchup against any faction not named Spacewolves, regrettably. But yeah, if you get a bunch of hunter marks, racked up on your unit, then yeah, you're not coming. So I'd have to agree, mid to high B tier.
For me, Astra Militarum now it's a C tier, just because of one reason. They all, their entire game plan builds around having a whiteboard with small dudes, which and it's just food for wolves. It's just straight up food for wolves. They would be punched, they're also hunt marked, and you will lose your board. And that's it. It's a C tier because of the wolves.
All right. I'm going to throw them at the back of B for now. We'll refigure this and kind of work through it at the end again. Dark Angels. Man, this is such a coin flip matchup. I could literally roll a 4-sided die and tell you where it would be on this chart. And it's literally just because of Asmodee's performance and how lucky you are on drawing secrets. If you are lucky, you're going to be an S tier god. If you are not lucky, you're going to be the bottom of the barrel. Their game plan revolves around having some units on board. They do need to deal damage. Their removal's good. The problem is that they need to stick units to trigger agenda over and over again, and against wolves, nothing sticks. So I'm going to say C tier, in my opinion.
Okay, I want to say that, in my opinion, Asmodee Secret is not the good the good list to take as a reference to evaluate Dark Angels' overall power, because I think that good pilots that run Azrael play a little bit different, is not as much RNG dependent, and they can pilot the deck pretty well. I faced a few very, very good Azraels, and you don't really do a lot against them. They still have a hard time because of how the meta is shaped to really shine. And for this reason, I would put them in the top of C tier. but it's a little bit, a temporary placement, because I think that it will take just a touch of meta adjustment for them to really pop off. You see.
Yeah, I'd say I'd have to pop them in, high C, low B. I don't know why a lot of people seem to think that they're, bottom of the barrel. They're really not. I know, Asmodee secret build gets a lot of flack because of how luck dependent it is, and I get that. I wouldn't personally run it because of how luck dependent it is, but Azrael is incredibly solid. I will say it's quite heavily dependent on a lot of their legendary cards, so it's a bit of an expensive build. But they have a lot of big units. They have a lot of decent amount of AoE as well. You have Avenging Zeal. You have the Deathwing Terminator. Those are both pretty good AoE options. Again, you have to draw into it for Deathwing Terminator, I admit, but pretty easily done with Azrael. And in a pinch, you can also buff your Warlords with, I think, the Deathwing Nightmaster, the 9-drop. Yeah, I've had a pretty decent amount of success with Azrael in particular. It can catch a lot of people off guard, especially when you can drop, the Deathwing Nightmaster and then Deathwing Assault for 2 rounds of AoE, buff your Warlord twice. So even if, in the Wolves matchup they take it out, still got quite heavily buffed Warlord to deal with. They're definitely stronger than people give them credit for, and I think I agree with some adjustment. They be pretty high tier. Again, you have to think about the Wolves matchup, which is a shame. And I will say, if you have a bunch of the legendaries, they're a very good pick, especially Deadly Hunters. I mean, how much should that have to get nerfed? Yeah, I agree. Probably low B, I would say. I'm a little bit biased though, because I do like them.
I think that Dark Angels are C tier because, we basically have 2 archetypes, right? We have a secret archetype for the Asmodee, where he should survive long enough to pull all those secrets, which is not gonna happen most of the times. And we have a teleport build for Azrael. It could be good, but the player should pilot it very well. He should know against what he plays, what his opponents plays, and be very wise with those choices when he choose another card to draw from his deck. Their cards like Deadly Hunters, come on, put 1 unit for each enemy troop. It's not fair. It should be for 1 each enemy unit, like 9 energy card for wolves, I think. And also their Terminators are very underrated. Very nerfed. So yeah, for me it's a C tier. They missed something. It's it damage or draw something.
All right. I'm going to throw them as C tier for now. Go ahead. What was that?
Just a word here about, and I think that we can all agree. Probably we will put them in C tier at the end, but I think that the Archangel is probably the single deck with the highest skill cap that there is. So a good player with Dark Angels can roll it as an S tier deck with no problem. It's just a very high skill cap for them. So C for everyone, but not C for everyone.
I hear you.
That was my take about Asmodee.
Yeah. There's a high skill cap on a lot of heroes, or a lot of warlords too. I would say there's a high skill cap on Tyranids. I would say there's a high skill cap on Sisters, and specifically a few other lists too. So on Voss specifically, there's a high skill cap on a lot of these. So that's always to be taken with a grain of salt. But like I said, most people are not running Sisters this year or this season because Erica received so many nerfs. However, I refuse to drop her and call that stubbornness, but my win rate should not be reflected as the entirety of the faction because the majority of players that takes Sisters and Erica into ladder are going to get stomped into the ground by Null, and that is going to be the end of the story. So take everything with a grain of salt. Next on our list, we have Emperor's Children. This one's interesting. I think Lucius is probably B after the nerf. Caffrail is probably sitting at B, but the rest of the warlords are just bad. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to put them behind Dark Angels and C. And I guess we'll go from there.
In my opinion, someone has to take the L in this tier list, and it will be Emperor's Children. For me, it's a D tier faction. They can have something going on for them. I never faced any real trouble. Of course, you win some, you lose some, but they never really look solid or threatening enough to take up a spot on in the meta. After the nerfs, they are not keeping up. And if I have to point the finger towards a faction that I have to say is currently the worst in this meta, that will be Emperor's Children. So D tier for me. They don't do enough. Their playstyle doesn't do enough to compete.
Oh man, it sucks to have to agree. I love Emperor's Children. They were so they've had it rough, man. They got nerfed even during their own event. Lucius been nerfed as well. He's not all that brilliant, but he's still probably their best pick. I really enjoyed playing Zarahan, the demon warlord, but yeah, unless you draw into the 2-drop torment. No, it's not the torment. So whichever one generates elixirs. You're just not doing anything for the first couple of turns a lot of the time. Yeah, they're struggling. They struggle versus flying units. They don't really have any flying units of their own. At least they have, some strong AoE in terms of exquisite swordsmanship, rapturous ruination, and Helldrake. But yeah, as much as I enjoy them, a lot of their game plan is sitting on 4-drop Infractor Obsessionists, watching it die and losing. So regrettably, I would probably pop D tier right at the bottom. As much as I love the Emperor's Children, they just are not competing at the moment. They need some help.
Yeah, I agree that I agree with Vex that it's a D tier. It's glass cannons, and they are not survive, and you die. That's all. You can't build a board. You can't deal damage without those glass cannons, and also you can't deal with flyers. It's Emperor's Children in a really bad position right now.
All right, that's a D tier for everybody. It sounds good for me. Next faction, I don't have anything to say really. Spacewolves, S, period. End of story.
F tier. I mean, what are we talking about? It has been like 4 weeks. They are dominating the meta. They got hot fixed. It changed nothing except taking away from them a very, very silly infinite combo. But the rest of the pack is there. I can name probably 10, 12 cards that are on par with the others, with the other factions cards. They are one step above. they will be nerfed in a couple of days. Hopefully, the meta will change completely. But so far, absolutely the best faction, in my opinion. Njal specifically, Logan after the hotfix is strong but manageable. Ragnar, you don't really have any reason to run over Njal, but Njal is undeniably the king of the current meta. S tier, top of the class.
Yeah, S tier hands down. When every single faction in the game is having to, a lot of the time, build specifically around Spacewolves. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of speaks for itself, especially when Logan, as good as Tyranids and Fenrir are, having that legendary unit in your hand, jump. I mean, from playing with all three of them, as much as I enjoy using him, he's the worst one. And I think that just speaks volumes for the faction in general. I mean, Jarl Stormcaller, he's cracked. He has so many options available. You have aggro, you have control with lightning. There's even the neg 2 range. It has its very situational uses, but it's there. He has all of those tools. You have hunt marks for healing. You have ferocity. They always seem to open raid tactics somehow, unless you're playing them. Yeah, they are defining everything at the moment. So it's going to be hands down S tier. Everything else is having to play around it. They are going to get nerfed in a few days, probably, as always happens with the end of an event. Once the devs have gotten all the money from body buying packs and the such. But yeah, having used them a fair bit, because why wouldn't you in this meta? They're S tier. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're just, especially Stormcaller, he's just absurd at the moment.
Well, there is nothing much to say for them. I think they are broken. Even lobotomized monkey could have solid results with them. It's S tier.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and pitch that in S. There's definitely a problem. Stormcaller leading the pack always. Being hard to deal with, too many threats, infinite removal, just good. Last on our list, Gene Stealer Cults. Personally, I'm a little biased. I think this deck's broke. I think it's completely uninteractive. You're playing Goldfish if you are playing... who am I thinking of? If you're playing... Jesus. It's skipping me, not Malik, not... If you're playing Safa, yeah. If you're playing Safa, this deck's completely uninteractive. It's Goldfish. You play Living Icon and you ping your opponents a few times, and then all of a sudden you have a combo turn and you kill. I would say this is right up alongside Necrons in A tier. I think it's one of the most busted decks in the current meta. I just think that not enough people are playing it because the skill cap is really high.
I would go as far as to put the Gene Stealer Cult in S tier. Of course, under Wolves, but if there is another faction that as soon as Wolves will leave the meta will start to look a little bit more problematic than it does look now, it's gonna be Gene Stealer Cult. Their pricing combo is absolutely cracked, even running a very low curve list, just combo oriented, gives you insane results. It's so easy to run, to pilot. Safa is on the same level as Njal is, in my opinion, as a warlord. Njal only has more tools in the rest of the cards. But as a warlord, Njal and Safa are absolutely on the same level. That talent is absolutely amazing. So yes, S tier. We will start complaining about them in a week. Mark my words.
Yeah, I'd have to go high A tier. They have a lot of options. You have uprising combos for aggro. You have charge. Again, unless you get momentum against them early on, you can struggle a lot. And I've, if I've been playing Spacewolves, I've been playing Logan, especially decks like that where you're struggling for hand space anyway. Yeah, cheeky sabotages can be really difficult to deal with because you're just killing your own momentum by trying to get rid of them. Especially, a trap brung. Is that the one that burns for every sabotage in hand? They've got a lot of options, and again, they're also a pretty cheap deck. I picked them up a little bit this season, and pricing combo is you don't even really need any of the legendaries except maybe Perfect Ambush. It's I would say it's a pretty contender at the moment. I'm not sure I put it on the same level as Necrons or such, but definitely a strong A tier contender. I've thought bad about them in the past. Thought they were quite a tier pick, but I'm definitely wrong on that one.
Well, Safa pricing is busted. Also, we have Safa with vehicles, which is also good. And my favorite is Malak, because I know it's not very effective, but I like him. Malak with Nexus combo, which is also very good. So for me, Gene Stealers are a solid A tier. I would say on a Necron level A tier.
All right. I'll throw them just in behind Necrons. We're going to have a small discussion, talk about this real quick, come back and see if there's any placements that need to be adjusted, and then we'll run back to you. All right. I think we've came to a pretty common consensus. This is what we're going to settle on, and this is what we agree looks probably the most reliable according to the current meta. There are some flavor of the month things. You can be a better pilot at some decks than others, of course. So with this being said, this is probably what you're looking at as of the past 30 days. Hopefully this is shortly to change and Wolves will fall a little bit and we'll have a little bit more balance. With that being said, everybody, would you like to give your regarding shout outs as we say goodbye?
Thank you everyone to stick with us. I hope that we will be doing this more often as the game develops and adds more content. I really like to hear the opinions of players that have been playing this game for longer than me, and I hope that the same feeling came for the people that watched this video with us. You are an amazing community, and we are very happy to do this for you.
I just want to say thank you for having me. This is the first for me to do anything like this. It's a great community. I've had a lot of fun playing this game so far. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, man. Anytime.
It was a pleasure for me. It was the first time, and thank you all.
Awesome. Stelma's thinking slightly in the back of his head, this is the last time I ever do this. I'm joking. Anyway.
No.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's been a nice one. We're tuning out later.